It has been almost a year since my last men's jeans video, and several people requested an updated video. So here it is. I have compiled a list of 15 men's denim brands, all with high sell-through rates that will be great to resell online. So let's jump right in. The first brand is Ma & Bo with a current sell-through rate of 95%. Now keep in mind, sell-through rates are constantly fluctuating. You can see here that there are currently 1,000 active listings, and then filtering to solds, you can see that 955 have sold. And as you can see, these are selling for around $30 to $50 on average. And here's a close-up of the outside label so you know what to keep an eye out for. And then here is the inside label. Number 2 is the brand American Giant with a current sell-through rate of 134%. You can see here that there are 68 active listings, and with all of these, I filtered to pre-owned since that's generally what we're going to find while we are out thrifting. And then when we filter to solds, you can see that 91 have sold. So these may not be as prevalent out in the wild, but an awesome sell-through rate. And as you can see, these are selling for good money. I'd say right around that $30 to $50 range as well. This one sold for $69.99 plus shipping. So some great money to be had with this brand. And then here is the outside label and the inside tag. Number 3 is the brand BKE with a current sell-through rate of 70%. This is a brand of men's jeans that we love to pick up and have a lot of luck selling. Interestingly, the women's BKE jeans don't sell nearly as well for us, and the sell-through rate currently is only about 30% for women's jeans. I plan to do an updated women's jeans video as well, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that one. You can see that there are 11,000 active listings, so a pretty large market size. And then filtering to solds, 7,700 have sold. And I would say on average, these are selling for around $20 to $40, as you can see here. And as with all denim brands, style is going to play a significant factor in desirability and sell-through rate. So use this video as a baseline to recognize brands while you're out in the wild, but always make sure to do your research and look up the specific style within a brand. With BKE, a few styles that I was seeing sell repeatedly was the Jake. It had a 92% sell-through. Tyler was a 70%, and then the Seth had an 80%. So those are a few great styles to keep an eye out for within the BKE brand. And I know BKE is probably one of the more well-known ones, but let me show you the back label just in case. This is what it looks like. And then here's the inside label, and it generally always shows the style right here, so it makes it super easy to look up. Number 4 is the brand Rock Revival with a sell-through rate right at 92% currently. There are 3,700 active listings. And then filtering to solds, we can see there are 3,400 that have sold within the past 90 days. This is another brand that we love to pick up. And you can see that these can bring in really good money, especially the ones that are more embellished on the pockets. This pair sold for $80. Here's one that sold for $70, and then some in the $40 to $50 range. So it is going to depend again on the style, but definitely a great brand to keep an eye out for. Here is the back label. And you can see here that the pockets have a pretty unique design and are easy to recognize. And then this is what the inside label looks like. You can see that it's embroidered on. Like BKE, the style name is generally right here on the inside, which I love. It makes it very easy to look it up. Number 5, with a sell-through rate of 83%, is the brand Roundhouse. You can see there are 331 active listings, and filtering to solds, 276 that have recently sold. There are quite a few Roundhouse bibs or overalls that have sold for around that $30 to $50 mark. And then just the regular denim also brings in decent money. I would say right around that $30 to $40 mark on average. And then here is the outside label, Roundhouse made in the USA. And then the button even says Roundhouse on it as well. Number 6 is the brand Mugsy with a sell-through rate of 102%. There are currently 802 active listings. And filtering to solds, 817 that have sold. Mugsy's another one that we love to pick up. We actually just sold a pair, and I'm seeing these sell for around that $30 to $40 mark on average. Here is the outside label, and then on the inside pocket says Mugsy, and then here is the inside label. Number 7 is Brave Star with a sell-through rate of 120%. There are currently 164 active listings, and filtering to solds, 196 that have recently sold. And these are selling for anywhere from $50 onwards up to this one even sold for $100. Anytime you come across jeans that are salvage, that generally fetches a higher dollar. Here's an example of what a salvage jean would look like. It literally has this self edge that's pretty easy to recognize. So I won't dive deep into salvage jeans, but definitely take a minute to look it up if you're not familiar with it. So definitely always keep an eye out for salvage jeans while you are outsourcing. And then here is a close-up of the outside label. And then here's the inside tag as well. Number 8 is the brand Ariat with a sell-through rate of 145% currently. I know Ariat is definitely a well-known brand, but it's worth noting just because that sell-through rate is so high, there are 6,200 active listings. And filtering to solds, we see there are 9,000 that have sold. And again, it's going to depend on the style. Some of these are only selling for around $20. But then there are others like these that are selling upwards of $50. And here's the label. Again, I know most people are familiar with this, but just in case, here's the inside tag. Number 9 is the brand Origin Maine with a sell-through rate of 155%. There are only currently 54 active listings and 84 that have sold. So I know these ones aren't going to be as prevalent out in the wild, but still good to be aware of. You can see that these are selling for around, I would say $40 to $60 on average. And of course, there are always going to be outliers, but you can expect to make some good money if you come across this brand. Here is what the inside tag looks like. And then here's a close-up of the back label. It has this very distinct logo, so hopefully it'll be an easy one to remember and recognize when you are outsourcing. Number 10 is a specific style within a brand, and that is the Diesel Zatini. I do come across diesel jeans fairly regularly, but I am selective. Some styles like this one have a much higher sell-through rate than others. Brand wide for diesel men's jeans, the sell-through rate is only about 41%. So just be selective, but know that diesel can be good depending on the style. We can see that with this style alone, there are 739 active listings, and then there are 908 that have recently sold. And I would say on average, these are selling for around $50 to $70 total. Although some of these are going for even more. This one sold for $84 plus shipping and $79 plus shipping. So again, just do your research, look up the specific item, but definitely a great style to keep an eye out for. And then here is a close-up of the tag and the label. Here's the outside label, and then here is the tag on the inside. Only 5 more brands to go. Stick with me. There are some great brands ahead. Number 11 is the brand Hiroshi Kato with a sell-through rate currently of 126%. This is a Japanese denim, and generally speaking, when you come across Japanese denim, it's worth looking up. Usually Japanese denim is known for its quality. You can see here there are 208 active listings and 263 that have sold. And as you can see, these can fetch a very high dollar depending on the style. This pair sold for $55 plus shipping, but then this pair sold for $110 plus shipping. Here's another one that sold for $100 plus shipping. You can see the majority of these are all selvage denim and are going for very high dollars. So this is definitely a brand to keep an eye out for. Here's a close-up of the outside label. I think this one's a pretty cool label. It's very unique. And then here is the inside. Number 12 are vintage Lee pipes. Now these ones do have a much lower sell-through rate at 50%, but I wanted to note, 1, because it's a great style to be aware of, and 2, because they do fetch a very high dollar, which I'll show you in a minute. And you can see there are only 56 active listings, so they are harder to find, and 29 that have sold. But you can see that this pair sold for $400. Let me show you close up. It has the stripes on the outside, and it says Lee pipe. Here's the tag, Lee pipes. This pair sold for $100 plus shipping. And then here's another pair that sold for $400. And of course, there are outliers. Some didn't sell for nearly as much. So again, it is going to depend. But anytime you come across jeans of this style that are the baggy, wide leg, Y2K, skater, hip hop, you can see all of these keywords are great to use in the listing. And generally, regardless of brand, if you come across jeans in this style, it's worth taking a minute to look it up. Interestingly, Jeanco was a brand that I highlighted in a previous video. The sell-through rate's only about 30% now versus when I did the video, it was closer to 100%. So the sell-through has definitely dropped. So you might hold on to these jeans a little bit longer, but as you can see, you can get some really good money from these. Here's the inside label for the Lee pipes. And you can see here's the Jeanco jeans that I mentioned that also go for very high dollar. Again, sell-through isn't as high, but just a great style and great keywords to be aware of. Number 13 is the brand Cinch with a sell-through rate currently of 75%. I feel like this brand has definitely risen in popularity. This is one that actually surprised me in the past. The sell-through rate hasn't quite been there, but it's definitely risen. You can see that there are 4,700 active listings and filtering to solds, 3,300 that have sold. These aren't selling for a ton of money, but I would say around $30 to $40 on average, which is still very decent depending on buy cost. The Cinch silver label has a very high sell-through rate. When I looked, it was 114%. You can see here on this back pocket it has literally a silver label. So definitely a great one to look out for. And then here are a few of the tags so you know what to keep an eye out for. This one's on the front pocket. And then here's an inside tag. Cinch is a Western lifestyle brand. And I would say in general, anytime you come across something that is cowboy core, meaning has those Western cowboy vibes, it's worth taking a minute to look it up. That's a really popular aesthetic right now. Number 14 is another style within a brand, and that's the Levi 527 boot cut. It currently has a sell-through rate of 69%. There are 4,900 active listings of this specific style, and filtering to solds, you can see there are 3,400 that have sold. So a very large market size. So hopefully this is one that's more prevalent out in the wild and an easier one for you to find more frequently. And I would say on average, I'm seeing a lot of these sell for around that $25 mark plus shipping. And then of course, some are a little higher, some are lower. And then here is a close-up of the tag. Levi is nice. It always has the style right here on the left-hand lower side of the tag. And then here's the inside tag as well. And last but not least is the brand Valabasas with a sell-through rate of 74%. There are 209 active listings and filtering to solds. We see that there are 153 that have sold within the past 90 days. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing Valabasas correctly, so let me know in the comments if it's pronounced differently. I'm seeing a lot of these sell for around $30 to $60. And you can see here that there are some very unique styles within this brand. Here's a close-up of the outside tag. And then here is an inside tag. There you have it, 15 great brands to keep an eye out for while you are outsourcing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.